Right, morning guys. Hey, what a cracking morning. Beautiful, look at that sky. So, anyway, this is part 5, I think it is, on this old horse box. So today, I'm going to get the discs and pads put in, caliper, chambers all put back on, and hopefully we can get the whole back end built up and then concentrate on the rest of the little bits and bobs to get through our MOT. Right, so I'm just swapping the bits over. I've knocked the plate out. It's got a cobweb in there. Look at that state of that pad. So that's the plate out. This groove here with a hole in it, that goes against the piston of the caliper. And you can also see there's a large slot there and a small slot there. You have to make sure you get the right caliper on the right side of the vehicle. I've done that, I've been there, done it, and you can put the near side on the off side and you end up with these grooves in the wrong place and your pads won't fit. So that's one to watch for, guys. And there's the new pad kit. Right then, we're going to get rid of these old discs now and get the new ones on. Look at the state of them, absolutely knackered. Right, just undoing these disc retaining bolts. They're all out, I'm just on the last one there, so here we go. There we go. So we'll pull all these out and then we'll separate that disc from the hub. Okay, so I'm just separating this disc there now. There we go. That is the old disc off. Look at all that crud. Look at all that corrosion. So yeah, we'll get that cleaned up and we'll drop the new disc on. So, with a wire brush and the drill, I've put some cloth in the bearing so I don't get any debris in there. I'm just gonna clean around where the hub meets the disc. Get that all clean. That has to be immaculate all the way around there, otherwise the disc won't sit flat. Okay, so that's all cleaned up immaculate there now, so we can get the disc dropped on. Right, so that's the hub dropped back onto the new disc, and if you look you can see it's sitting nice and flat, and I can also revolve it. See that before I put the bolts in? That means that there's no corrosion or anything sitting in its way. It's not seized onto it's not stuck on the rust. So yeah, we can just line that up there now with the holes and we can bolt her up, guys. A little bit of copper slip on all the ends of the bolts and we'll get them whizzed in now. Right, let's tighten these up. Just tighten them all evenly. Right, so they're all tight. Once it's all built up, I'll double check them with a brake bar, but yep, that's all bolted up there now. So with some brake cleaner, I'm just going to clean that disc off there now, both sides. Okay, that's the new disc, all cleaned, bolted up. I'll put a little bit of grease or oil on the stub axle and then we'll get that slid on. Okay, so I've cleaned the stub axle up there. I'm just going to put a little bit of lube on it, and then the hub will slide on lovely and free. Before I slide this hub on, I should point out that the bearing on the rear is just a sealed double bearing. That's a pressed in bearing. It's not like the front one where you've got an outer bearing and an inner bearing and a gap between where you have to set it. This one, the hub goes on and then you just nip the nut up and then lock the tab over. So there's no setting of the bearing as such on the rear. So I've just been cleaning this plate off that goes on the end of the bearing, which was covered in silicone. Before I fit the hub though, it's worth pointing out that inside this hub, between the two bearings, there's a clip there. Now that clip can cause loads of bother, because when you slip this hub on, if it doesn't go perfectly straight and it does start to clip, that the hub starts to hit the end of this clip, you need to physically tap it on by the bearing. Don't tap it on by the hub, or you'll separate the cage and you'll unclip it. Been there, done it. So that's the shaft all cleaned up with a little bit of oil just smeared around it on the threads and on the shaft. So yeah, we can get the hub stuck back on now. Right then guys, that's the hub all slid on. So we can get the nut on there now. Beautiful. Okay, so that's the outer nut all locked up. You can see it's actually gone back to where it was originally. I've locked the locking tab over and she's nice and smooth there. I've tapped it a couple of times with a hammer because like I was saying, on the front one, just give it a couple of taps, things settle. But yep, that's good. And as always on these double bearings, like I was showing you, be very, very careful with that inner clip. If the inner clip does separate, you'll end up where you've nipped the nut up, or you might not even be able to get the nut on because the bearings will have separated and you end up with loads of movement on the wheel bearing. So yeah, that's one to watch for, guys. Okay, so that's the new caliper there, and you can probably see better there. You can see the large groove at the top and the small thin groove at the bottom. So that tells you that the caliper is on the right way around for this side. So that's the new, got too much of a zoom. So that's the new caliper fitted, all bolted back up, and the new pads are in, and the new fitting kit, and she's all adjusted up exactly the same way I showed you on the first video for the front axle. Next job now is to remove this barnacle old chamber. Okay, so I'm just busy undoing these fittings out of the brake chamber so we can renew them. There's no way I'm taking that for MOT looking like that. It's a matter of time before that bursts. Right then guys, it's not happening. This fitting's come out only just. This one here, I can't move, it's solid, so I'm gonna have to cut this pipe. If I can't get this fitting out any good, I'll just have to put a different fitting in and rejoin the pipe. Okay, so that's the brake chamber removed. I just cut the pipe there. Can't get that fitting out, but yeah, look at the state of that. Absolutely buggered. Okay, so that's the box of tricks there. This is the new chamber, but the ports are smaller on the new one. So we're gonna have to find adapters in here that'll screw into the chamber, but also take it to a 12mm pipe, which is what's on the truck. Okay, so that's the kit I need. 2 straights, 2 elbows, and 2 adapters, and I'll show you how we'll put that together to get us 2 12mm elbows out of the chamber. Okay, so I'm just screwing in the 2 adapters. So I'll just nip them up. Right, I'll just nip them up, 2 seconds. So I've nipped these up there now, so we'll carefully remove the caps. And then what we'll do, we'll put the, if you notice the adapter's blank on one side and threaded on the other. So that pushes onto those O-rings, just carefully. Do it without. There we go. And the same with this one. There we go. And then we'll screw those 2 one into there, one into this one. Then I'll nip them up, and then we've got 2 swiveling elbows that'll take the 12mm pipe. Happy days, guys. So that's the new chamber prepared. You can see they swivel on the O-rings. Put them where you want them. I'm just going to bolt it up there now, and then we'll get that fitted to the old pipes. Right then, that is the brake chamber all fitted. The fittings are all tight, and the old pipes are pushed into the connectors there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the engine up, build the air up, let the handbrake off, and then when the handbrake's off, we'll be able to wind the wind-off rod back in. Top tip for you, it's always easier to wind the rod back in when the handbrake's off because there's no strain on the spring of the chamber. Okay. Make sure it's out of gear. And yeah, let's start her up. Oh, it's flat. Right, so start her up. Build the air up, and then we'll let the handbrake off. Right, that's the handbrake off. So with my fingers, I can just wind that rod back in the chamber, which puts the handbrake back on. If you were to recover this vehicle, you would wind that back out, and what that does is it draws the spring away from the piston, so it winds your brake off. Winds your handbrake off. You've still got a foot brake, but it winds the handbrake portion of that chamber off. There's a bloody big spring inside there. So if I hadn't let the handbrake off, I would have to have wound that all the way with the socket. So I'll just nip that up there now. So that's a good tip for you guys. There we go. That's the handbrake back on. Tell you what, before I put the shaft in, I'm going to put the handbrake on, and I'm just going to nip these bolts up and check them by hand. So I've quickly whizzed around all these disc retaining bolts with a brake bar, and they're all tight, so I can get the half shaft in now. So I've applied a little bit of sealant to the end of the half shaft flange. So yeah, I'll get that put in there now. Let the handbrake off. And then I can turn that to line up with the half shaft bolts. Right, here we go. The bolts are in the cab. Crikey, I'm doing a lot of walking today. Getting my steps in today. Right, here we go. One in. Two in. So yep, I'll get the rest of them in and we'll gun them up, and then we'll make sure they're tight, and then that's that job done. Right then. Nip these up. Put the handbrake on there and I'll check them with a bar. So that's the half shaft all tightened and checked with a brake bar. So basically that side is all done. All I've got to do now is throw the wheels back on. Right then, I'm going to get the wheels put on it there now, and then that's that side all done. So that's that side all done, all built up, stands back out, back in the other side. So yeah, I'm just going to get this side, this wheel removed now, and then I can do all the brakes on this side. Luckily this side doesn't have a broken spring, so it's a little less work, but I'm not going to take a video of that because it's exactly the same as what I've just done. So we'll leave it at that. Woo! There's all the chambers, the calipers have got to go back, 4 calipers. This side's all done. I thought I'd just quickly go underneath and show you. There we go. That's the back end all done. New discs, pads, calipers, chambers, fittings, and a new pad put in the spring there. Happy days, guys. Wow, what a lovely hot day. I've had to strip off, I've had to take my overalls off. Yep, that's the back end of the horse box all done. So brake wise, it's all ready for its MOT. Springs done, pads in the other one, the little buffer pad. So just a few little bits and pieces that needs to be done on it, but we'll get them done. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you again with another Ken's Jobs.